Hi, I'm Melissa, and today we're going to be going through a wall-mounted installation of the PERGOLUX Pergola. You can find the install manual on the PERGOLUX app or at www.pergolux.app. Before you start, you're going to want to purchase a few things that are not included in the pergola kit. Those are silicone waterproof caulk and the anchoring hardware that you're going to need to bolt it to the wall and to the ground. During the installation, you will need a mallet, an Allen wrench kit, a ladder, a tape measure, a level, a ratchet set, a drill, a set of normal bits, and a set of Torx bits. The B boxes are the beams, the C boxes are columns, and the L boxes are the louvers. Beams 1 and 3 in the manual are the front and back of the pergola. The beams marked as 2 in the manual are the side beams. You'll also need the manual motor for this, and if you have them, LEDs and/or a heater. Before we start, let's just go over a few things. If you're facing your pergola and the back beam has the motor attachment, that means that your louvers will open from left to right. You'll also find a little bit of lubricant in the components box, and you're going to use that for screws. There's a little bit of prep work before you start installing. There are pre-installed metal blanking strips in the gutters, the bottom of the beam, and on the sides of the columns. Those are for LEDs in the gutter, if you have them. That is for the glass walls or the screens in the columns and on the bottom of the beam if you have them. So for LEDs, you would remove the blanking strips from all the tracks in the gutters. If you have glass walls or screens, you're going to remove the metal blanking strips from the columns and from the bottom of the beam. Once you take them out, you can get rid of them. You don't need them anymore. Both of the side beams have a cavity the whole length of the beam, which is usually covered with a pre-installed access panel. Remove the access panel from the beam that is going to be installed to the right of the motor. That's where the control box will sit, and it's going to keep it protected from the elements. The panel hooks into the top of the beam first and then clicks down. To remove, you just pop the panel up from the bottom. You will not need to remove both of the access panels. The first step is to attach the base plates to the columns. To make it a little easier, line up the flat corner edge of the base plate with the flat edge on the column. Use the B screws with the star bit. We recommend using the included lubricant to coat the screws, which will prevent binding and cold welding with the aluminum. Notice that there are 2 openings for water drainage, and there will be 1 opening on the corner piece for the electrical wiring. You'll attach both base plates to the columns. Make sure that your countersink holes are facing out, and it can also be helpful to screw in all the screws part way and then tighten them at the end. Use the 8 screw and the 9 bracket from the J bag and fasten those to the top of each column. These are so that the beams can slide onto the brackets and stabilize at each freestanding corner. Using your mounting bolts, you will fasten the number 11 brackets found in the Z bag to the wall at roughly 32-inch intervals. Use 2 screws per bracket. The bottom of the bracket should be at 92 3/4 inches from the ground. It can be helpful to use a string line to make sure that all your brackets are level. Next, take your wall-mounted back beam and slide it over the brackets into place. Your back beam is the one with the motor attachment on the inner side and the space for the brackets on the back. Take the number 5 parts from the Z bag and slide them in from the left side of the beam. They should line up with each of the brackets on the wall. Use the number 13 screws from the Z bag and secure each of the small number 5 parts to the wall-mounted brackets. Now you're going to secure part number 14 from the X bag to the side beam that is going to be to the right of the wall-mounted beam using the number 10 screws from bag E. Use the lubricant for those 4 screws. Part 14 will only go on the side where you attach the beam to the wall-mounted beam. Using 4 more screws from bag E, attach one of the columns to that side beam on the side that is furthest from the wall, remembering to coat them in lubricant. Using 4 more screws from bag E, you will attach the side beam to the wall-mounted beam. You will need 2 people for this. Set up 1 ladder near the wall before you stand up the beam and column. Repeat those same steps for the other side beam. Attach the short bracket, then the column on the opposite side, then attach to the wall-mounted bracket. Next, you're gonna mount the front beam. It helps to set up your 2 ladders beforehand, so you can just walk the beam up and slide it into place. It helps to slide 1 beam onto the bracket, then the other side, fasten with the E-screws, and then congrats, you've got your frame up. Next, you're gonna use 4 of the number 15 bolts from the J bag at each of the column corners to secure the beams. Place the number 15 corner parts from bag M in the 2 column corners. Slide the edge of one side under the lip on the beam, and then the whole piece should click into place. Place the number 14 corners from the U bag on the wall mounted corners and use the same technique to click them into place. Next, you're going to install your 4 gutters. These are found in the beam boxes, and they're going to click into place on each of the beams. Then, using the adhesive tape squares from the component box, you're going to seal off both sides at every single corner. Now, place the number 20 bracket from the L bag in each of the 4 corners and secure it in place with the number 21 screws from the M bag. Okay, at this point, you would stop and install your LED lights if you were going to. You can find those in the LED install manual, and you can use the link below to find the LED install videos. Next, take the plastic parts from the V bag and the number 25 screws from the U bag. You're going to push this little part into the wall-mounted corners only. The number 25 screw will secure it in place. Then get the O and the W bags. The O bag has the plastic corner piece and the number 28 screw for the freestanding corners. The W bag has the plastic piece and the screw number 27 for the wall-mounted corners. Notice the difference in the length of the screws. Number 27 is around 1 4/5 inches. The number 28 screw is 2 3/4 inches. At this point, you can use the waterproof sealant or caulk that you bought. Use it in each corner to seal it off. Simply place the corner pieces at every single corner and use the appropriate screw to secure it in place. Next step is to mount the manual motor to the back beam. Start by taking the clamp that is included in the manual motor box and slide it onto the motor, making sure that the holes for the screws are on top of the motor. The holes should also have the countersink side facing out. Next, take the bolt and the nut from bag T and use it to connect the motor arm to the louver arm. Tighten using an Allen key. Once attached, rest the motor in the gutter and use the 3 bolts that came with the motor to fasten the clamp to the pre-installed triangular bracket located on the beam. The long bolt will go into the middle with the 2 smaller bolts on each side. Tighten all of them until you can't anymore. Fasten the clamp. If you don't have any LEDs or heater, aka no control box, then you can move to step 44. If you do have LEDs or a heater, so a control box, then move on to the next step of the installation. The control box is designed to sit in the cavity of the beam to the right of the motor. However, you could place it anywhere on the pergola. You just want to make sure that your cord is long enough to go down the column. The control box is designed to have the power come out of the back right-hand corner. Attach the grounding wire to one of the screws that have already been installed. Place the grounding screw right on the edge of the existing screw and screw it back in. The power cord will be inserted through the beam and hang down the outer channel of the column. It will be covered at the end when you snap the corner pieces on. You'll connect the power cord to the control box cable labeled AC input. Connect your lights and heater cables as well if you have them. Next, you'll take the piece number 35 that came in one of the beam boxes and you will snap it onto the bottom of the wall-mounted beam. At this point, use the hand crank to open the motor arm until the swinging bracket with 3 holes is at its highest point of the beam. We recommend testing the control box and the heater and/or lights if you have them. Refer to the control box pairing video for more details. Replace the access panels on one or both sides. It helps to do this with 2 people. First, hook the top of the access panel to the top of the beam. Once secure, push the panel down and use some force, whether it's with hands or a mallet, to close it. You should hear a click when it is finally in place. All the wires will go through the notch at the bottom of the access panel. Take part 42, which we refer to as the steering rail, and the 3 small bolts from the S bag. The steering rail has a lip on the top that will be facing towards the wall. Attach the steering rail to the hanging bracket by attaching the bolts from the outside. Now you can start to place the first louver. You'll start from right and go to the left. Note that there is 1 louver with an additional plastic lip. This is your starting louver. The louver side with the longer pin is going to be installed into the slots on the front beam. Install this side first. Then you'll secure the other side of the louver with the existing plastic notch onto the back beam. Use the plastic clip from the H bag to secure the louver pin on the front beam. A little tip here is to use a tool like nose pliers to press those into place easily. Now the fun part, connecting each louver to the steering rail using the bolts, nuts, and spacers from bag R. The bolts will go on the outside, the spacer is between the steering rail and the louver, and the nut will be on the inside of the louver. You will need a right angle tool with a drill, a 5/32 inch bit, and a 10mm wrench. Continue to install each louver one at a time. Click in the H clip, then attach the bolt, nut, and spacer to the steering rail for each one. Don't be afraid to take the time to contemplate life while you're doing this. The last 3 louvers will go in a little differently. Insert the louver pins first on the front beam side, same as you have been doing. Then, instead of clipping them into place on the other side, slide the 3 louvers to the right. It helps if they're at a 90-degree angle, so there's room for all of them. Make sure they don't spin around. Once all 3 louvers are slid to the right, you can then slide them one by one to the left and clip them into place. Next, clip in piece 27 along the entire length of the back beam. This is going to stabilize the louvers. It will hook onto the top, and then you have to use some muscle to clip it down. Once all your louvers are secured and in place, take your corner pieces, which are part 47 and 48 in the manual, and snap them into place using a mallet. You'll see the small opening for electric wiring on each one. The last step is to attach the covers to the top of each corner. There should be 2 part K bags with the small plates and screws. At this stage, you can install your screens, glass walls, or wood slat walls. Before you do that, make sure that the space between the top and the bottom of the columns is equidistant. And if you don't have any walls, you can mount your pergola to the ground, making sure everything is level. Congrats, you finished your install. Now you can sit back, relax under your PERGOLUX, and enjoy it for years to come. Welcome to the PERGOLUX fam.